Hello everybody, I'm making this video on how to live with chronic pain and what it's like to live with chronic pain every day and the things I do to help myself get through the day, even though it can be very difficult sometimes. So I guess I'll start from the beginning, tell you a little bit about my story. Um, let's see where to begin. I would say about a year ago, I was doing really good. I was getting my life together. I had a great job. I was making more money than I've ever made in my life. I just had a beautiful daughter. She was a couple months old when I started working at that job. I was doing great, I was making tons of money. I was working real hard. My daughter was beautiful. My relationships with my parents and family members were great. And then all of a sudden, after a couple of months of working at this job, I don't want to say specifically where it was, but after a few months of working at this job, I was in management most of my career, and you know, and with that comes a lot of stress, a lot of, especially having a newborn and worrying about all those things in the job, and you have to manage people at work and stuff like that. And so a few months in to my new job, everything's going great. I'm having the time of my life essentially. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I started getting this really bad pain in my teeth, my upper teeth. It didn't hurt. It was more of like an aching feeling, and I was like, oh hey, I'll just go to the dentist and they'll fix me up. So I went to the dentist, and it turns out that I just need my teeth cleaned, or one tooth cleaned, and they cleaned it up for me, and I was just fine. There was no aching, no pain, nothing. A few days later, a few days go by after that, and I start having pain again in my teeth. So I was like, oh great. So went back and I got a deep clean this time at the dentist, and then for a couple days everything was fine. And then after that, a couple days after that, all of a sudden I started to get this. I would say almost. It's very hard to describe. It was like a no, I would say it was like a pressure in my gums. Like my gums felt very sore and tender, and they hurt a lot. They hurt so much I could barely get through my day. I could barely get through my work day. I couldn't sleep. I it was horrible. So I ended up. I think it was a Friday night. It was very busy at my job there at the time, and being in management, it's late at night. I worked nights, so the job's flowing and everything's going, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and it felt like somebody was choking me. And meanwhile, my gums are hurting really bad, really bad, and I couldn't breathe all of a sudden, and I didn't know why. And I'm walking around my job, and people are noticing something's wrong. So I go outside to smoke a cigarette and calm down. I figured, hey, maybe I'm just a little stressed out. So I go outside. All of a sudden, I start puking everywhere, and I go to my boss at the time, and I go, hey, I really think I should go. I really think I should go to the ER. I'm not feeling so hot. I'm getting sick. My mouth hurts, really bad. So I go to the ER. He's looking in my mouth, all that stuff. He doesn't see anything. He doesn't see anything wrong. He gives me I don't remember, it was like antibiotics or something, and some sort of steroid to take inflammation down because it felt like my gums were swelling. So I end up having this gum pain for months. I don't remember how many months, but It was quite a long time. I was probably about 5 months or something. Every day I'd go to work and my mouth, my gums would hurt so bad I could barely talk. So I would use all sorts of like mouth numbing stuff. I went to the dentist in the ER more times than I can count. I can't even remember it was that many times because of the pain. And every time I went, and I'm talking, I went to the ER like 10 times. I went to see my doctor 10 times, the dentist 10 times, periodontist 10 times, like all these people. And nobody could tell me what was wrong with me. My x-rays looked great. Nothing was wrong. The roots looked great in my teeth. Everything was fine. So a couple months pass. The pain. So every time I'd go to work during those first couple of months with the pain in my mouth, the gums, I would use like magic mouthwash to numb it because it hurt that bad I could barely talk. So after a couple months of that, it seemed to go down, I think, at least a little bit. The swelling feeling, the feeling like my face was being punched, I guess that's the way I can describe it, and my gums being tender. It seemed to go down. But then after that, my face felt like it started to burn. Like I could feel like my cheeks were almost how do I they were it felt like my cheeks were swelling and my cheeks were like burning almost. So again, I go back to the ER. Again, I go back to my doctor. They say they don't know what's wrong. I go through tests to eliminate things, blood work, ENT specialists, all that. They do an MRI. They can't see anything wrong. I go see a neurologist. Nothing. They don't know what's wrong with me. Anything like that. So I've seen, at this point, I've seen every doctor I can. There's nowhere else to go from here. So at this point, it was probably about 7 months or so into this. Then I started having like these tingly, pricking sensations all over my face and the back of my head, in my neck. It just felt like my cheeks were on fire. Is the best way I can describe it. Like the nerves in my face were on fire all the time. And somebody was hitting me in the back of the head constantly, and my neck felt like it was on fire. It didn't feel good. It was terrible, and it was horrible. So, like I said, after I saw the neurologist and all that stuff, they sent me to I think an OT and a psychologist and all that stuff. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. So what they did was, so like I said, I'm having this pain in my face and head and neck, and it's only localized to my head. Nowhere else in my body at this point. And I noticed that certain things I do helps with the pain, and certain things I do also trigger it too. And we'll get into that in a little bit too. Um, so a few months after that, and it's only localized to my head, it starts to spread into my body. It starts to spread into my body, at which point I start seeing a psychologist, pain management psychologist, to come to terms with living in chronic pain and not knowing why you're having these issues. Um, so I see these doctors, and the burning and the tingling and crawling sensations are now in my body, in my arms, hands, legs, feet, back, face, neck, all over my body. Um, so then I see this pain psychologist, and it does help. Okay? You have to see why and how you can get better. It doesn't look like you're going to get better, and your body's going to hurt, and it's going to ache, and it's going to suck, and you're going to feel like you want to die, and you're going to feel like your life is over. It's not. It's not over. Your life will continue, and life gets better. Whatever the issue is, in my case, like I said, they can't find any physical reason as to why I'm having these pain issues. So after months of therapy and, seeing my psychologist and getting to understand what I'm going through in my body and feeling what my body feels and understanding why I'm feeling this way, we can confidently say, I can confidently say that my body, my mind created this pain to deal with past trauma that I had been suppressing for years. I had such a terrible childhood that I suppressed the feelings of pain and anger and hatred and depression, and I bottled those up and I wouldn't let them out, and I didn't let anyone see those feelings. I didn't let anybody know I was going through those things. And then all of a sudden, when my life was going great and things were getting together and life was going wonderful, my mind was like, it's time to deal with these issues now. Even though I didn't want to deal with them, my mind told me it was time to deal with these issues of depression and anxiety and anger and hatred and all these, unpleasant feelings that I'd been suppressing for all these years. And then things started to get better. The pain is still there, and you still feel it, but you understand why you're having it. Down in my case, I have nerve pain. It's nerve pain that I am creating in my brain in response to danger that's not there. My body was in constant fight or flight mode my entire life. And when things finally got good and I had achieved what I wanted in life, whether it was my career, my family, my mind told me it was time to deal with these things that I have had experienced in my life. And it took me a long time, and heck, I'm still even trying to figure out sometimes why these things happen. And I wanted to make this video to let people know who suffer from chronic pain, whether there's a physical ailment or there isn't, it does get better. I lost everything because of this, because of the nerve pain in my body and everything. I lost everything. I lost my job. I almost lost my relationship. I almost lost my family members because I didn't know how to deal with this. And then I started to self-medicate. But after that passed and I saw someone and I got the help that I needed, the pain became manageable. And I knew how to deal with it. And I knew how to process the feelings of anxiety and anger and depression. And I'm starting now to learn how to process those emotions in a healthy way, whether it be by exercise, talking them out, and all those things. I just want to let people know that chronic pain is not, it doesn't have to be your life. It doesn't. I don't know how many people will see this video, and I don't know. But I just want to let anyone know that chronic pain doesn't have to be your life. You can still live a relatively normal life and still be in pain. Everything will work out in the end. Managing your pain and understanding why you're having it, if there are no physical symptoms, regardless if there's physical symptoms or not, understanding it and learning how to accept that this is happening to you is the number one important thing you need to do is you need to understand and accept that it's happening to you. You think that it'll never happen, and when it does, it can be very hard to deal with it. There is another picture I wanted to touch on that I really liked. There it is. There is a very good illustration of what it can be like to deal with chronic pain. All the things I covered: career disturbance, financial concerns, depression, and fatigue. It's all there. And it's a cycle because, you think about it and you can't stop thinking about it because it hurts. So that's all that's on your mind 24/7, and it creates a lot of anxiety, which will lead to panic attacks, which leads to depression, which leads to not sleeping, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and you have to break the cycle. And I'm not a big fan of them, but they do work, and I do see their value. And whether you talk to your doctor about getting medication that helps with your pain or not, those can help. But in my opinion, those only mask the symptoms. They don't actually deal with the symptoms. Um, how I deal with it is, like I said, I try to exercise as much as I can. I try to be with my daughter as much as I can. Um, I noticed about myself that being around her makes the pain less noticeable. It's still there, but she makes me very happy, and I like that. So it makes the pain better. So you could say family, exercise. Um, what else? You eating healthier is a big one. Eating junk food, just the thought of eating junk food can actually put you in more pain than you already are, because of the anxiety and depression and the grease and fat and all that stuff in there. That saying, "You are what you eat," it's true. The better you eat, the more vitamins you put in your body, the better your body can regulate itself. That's just simple. It's simple like that. And also, speaking to a professional, a healthcare professional, like a psychologist or any sort of therapy, is also one of the biggest things that you can do, because a lot of people don't want to hear about these things, and they don't want to deal with these issues. So when you see a professional and you're able to talk through some of these things, it makes you feel way better. You know, I cannot say enough about seeing a healthcare professional and getting therapy to help you work through these problems that may or may not cause you pain. So, what else can be a big help? I've found in the last year or so that if you smoke, you should. I know it can be very hard, and I know it's one of the hardest things you can do, but quitting smoking is very important for chronic pain, especially in my case with nerve pain. Um, the tobacco, it doesn't help you. It accelerates your heart rate, amps up your body, and it's not good for you. It's not good for your body, and it's not good for your pain because it's going to make you feel more pain. And I know that can be very hard because it can also relieve anxiety and stress. Um, so you gotta get off that. Um, and I was reading this list. It says exercise doesn't always help, and that's true. That's very true. Sometimes I like to run. I love running. Um, Sometimes I run 2-3 hours a day, and and when I'm done, I still feel I'm still in a lot of pain. So I agree with that. But also, on the other end of that, I can exercise and I'll feel great. So it's not, if you're exercising and you're eating healthy and you're seeing a therapist and you're doing all these things to try and help you cope with your pain and all these issues, the most important thing is to not give up. I've made that mistake and I've done that. Do not give up. If you don't think it's helping, continue it anyways. Continue doing it and continue doing it, because once you stop, you're going to notice. You're going to notice your body and your mind's going to tell you all the benefits of the things I've talked about. You're going to notice. Don't stop eating healthier. Don't stop seeing your therapist. Don't stop exercising. Don't stop. It does get better, but you gotta stick to it. It doesn't have to be your life. It doesn't. And I guess the reason I'm making this video is because I want to let other people out there know that they're not alone. They're not alone. I'm with you. We're with you. You can be happy. You can live a normal life. You can be free of this pain, of the chronic pain. You can. It does get better. And if you'd like to tell me your story in the comments feel free to. I would love to read them. I really would. I'd really love to know if this video helped you at all. If it gave you any sort of information that you found helpful, because I wish I saw a video like this when I first started going through the chronic pain that I've had. You're not alone. We're all out there, and don't give up. Right here, that's number one. Don't give up. Don't give up. You can be better. You will be better. And one day, pain won't run your life. It won't. It won't. You will find your way, but you can do it. Good night, and God bless.